Hello, nice to see you again. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Free Advice. You might be sitting at home right now thinking, I'm too old, I'm too tired, or too whatever. Too old to start something new. I kind of thought the same thing a while back, but I was determined that I would start some new things. So let me give you a couple of ideas here. After I retired, in about 6 months, I really started to get caught up on things that I thought I wanted to do after I retired. I took the grandkids fishing, and I just did a lot of things. But I ran out of things, and I began to think, well, there's got to be something else I can do. So I started selling things on eBay as a hobby. I sold items on Poshmark. I sold items on Etsy. Did Facebook Marketplace, and I just began to sell stuff. I'd have people come to my house, and I'd just sell whatever I could get my hands on. Fortunately, the dog wouldn't hold still. But you might be at home and you might be thinking right now, I'm too old, I'm too tired, or too whatever to start something new. Well, I'm John Hauser. I live in eastern North Carolina. I'll be 76 years old this year. And I decided that I would start a YouTube channel and put forth my own philosophy, because I am a world-famous intellectual. I know you don't know that. You won't find me on Wikipedia. If you type in John Hauser on Wikipedia, you won't find me. But it is true. It is true. I am a world-famous intellectual. And you might say, well, how did I get that way? Well, I read a lot of books. Oh, my. Okay. But it's not too late to start something new. Studies have shown that seniors who start exercising can gain muscle. Studies have shown that seniors who start lifting weights can get stronger. I was talking to a friend of mine at church the other day. His name is Jimmy. And he was telling me he has a little bit of blood pressure issue, and he says, but I get out and walk 2.5 miles every day. And I said, 2.5 miles every day? He said, 2.5 miles every single day. There's another gentleman in our church who's a senior citizen, who is very senior, who walks 6 miles a day. He walks 2 miles 3 times a day. Now, to me, that seems excessive. I myself, I do exercise on a regular basis. But what I'm trying to say is that there are people out there who are very senior citizens. I'm talking 70s, 80s, 90s, who are exercising every day and gaining strength. And there are seniors out there who are reading books. And here comes a book now. Watch out, here comes the book. They're reading books on a regular basis, and they are becoming more intellectual. Like me. Now, understand that I'm saying some of this in humor. But here's an interesting little book right here, as long as I'm not holding it upside down. The Science of Being Great. Yeah, The Science of Being Great. Great little book right there. And you might want to pick it up and read it. You see, it's not very thick. And here's the author's name on the bottom. I actually read this book. I date the books that I read. I actually read this back in 2008. I like to date the book. That way when I pick it up, I can say, okay, yeah, I read this back then. And then I'll read them again. Well, that says I finished it the second time. I finished it the second time in 2008. So I must have read it prior to that. But seniors who are involved in church or community activities are sharper, mentally sharper, and typically happier people. Seniors who take up new interest, and I'm the classic example. I'm going to say this again in a little while, but last year we were down at Moorhead here in North Carolina, down at Beaufort. We'd never been parasailing, my wife and I. I said to my wife, let's go parasailing. And if you're not familiar with parasailing, you put on this big old parachute and a parachute harness, and you're in a motorboat. The motorboat starts going up real fast, and you're in the parachute, and you go up real fast. So my wife and I were strapped into this thing, and the motorboat takes off, and the parachute goes up, and my wife and I go up tandem at the same time. And here we are up about 500 feet, looking down at the motorboat, the speedboat. And of course, my wife was doing the typical panic attacks and screaming. But we did parasailing. You ought to try it sometime. Reading, in my opinion, reading and thinking is probably one of the best things that you can do as a senior. I will soon review a book that was written by Julia Cameron called The Way of the Artist. You've got to read this book, and I will be doing a video on that. I will do a video on that. So people sit around and they think, and I've done this, we've all done this. We start thinking, well, time is too short, or I'm too old, or I'm going to look at the clock here. Oh, there's the clock. If start thinking I'm too old, time is too short. We look at the clock, we go, oh no, we've got time. You know, I'll be 76 this year, and if you were to say to me, well, what if you only live to be 80 or 82? Hey, that's 6 or 7 years that I can really enjoy myself. 6 or 7 years. So it just makes sense to get up off of it. Go out and do something. Every now and then I get my little Mustang out of the garage, just drive it around, just to get the thrill of driving it. See how fast I can go from, well, I have to be careful how I say this, how fast I can go from 0 to 45 on the local road. Yeah, but what about it? What about driving a sports car or starting a new career? I started on eBay when I was probably about 69 and sold thousands of items on eBay just for fun. And then at age 70, I started selling stuff on Poshmark, and then I sold stuff on Etsy. And at age 75, I started driving for Uber. And I didn't necessarily need the money. I'm pretty much set for life. But what I did need was something to do. So I started driving for Uber. And this past Saturday, I took some people to the airport. We live in eastern North Carolina. The airport's at Raleigh. So there's a nice little chunk of change there for taking someone to the airport. And in addition to that, while driving around Raleigh, I picked up another $100. I was all done by 1 o'clock. I went home and took the rest of the day off and just had a great time. So you can do things. Let's see here now. When the weather turns warm. Oh, yeah. When the weather turns warm, my wife and I will pack up our bicycles and we'll go to Myrtle Beach or Morehead City and we'll ride our bicycles. And sometimes we ride them on the beach. Sometimes we just ride around the neighborhood, but we get out and ride those bicycles, take bike rides. But in the meantime, I have a stationary bike that I use on a regular basis and lift some weights, you know. I have some close friends that are well into their 80s, and they buy and sell antiques. They've got a couple little storage buildings. They've actually got a booth set up at a local antique mall, and they buy and sell antiques. I don't know how much money they make doing it, but they have a lot of fun doing it. They really enjoy taking the time to go out and find those antiques and then display them and sell them. And I'm going to say this again here. Read books. Read books that will expand your mind. I mentioned this one here, The Science of Being Great. Just an absolute great book. I have mentioned in prior videos reading the Bible. Reading the Bible is one of the best books you can do to expand your mind. I've mentioned this book multiple times, The Magic of Thinking Big. I've been reading it for years, over and over again. You need to read. Reading will help you expand your mind. I love to watch television as much as the next guy. I love to watch Greg Gutfeld and other shows, but that doesn't really expand your mind. To expand your mind, you have to exercise your brain, and exercising your brain, you read. And reading will help you. Socialize. Go to church. Make new friends. Go to a local, active, growing church where they preach the Bible verse by verse, where they have good fellowship, where you can meet some new people, where you become involved, where you can become active. And our church has a great fellowship in Wilson, North Carolina. If you happen to live in Wilson, North Carolina, or close proximity, Tabernacle Baptist Church. It's on Airport Road. It's a growing church, lots of nice activities. We have a men's prayer breakfast the first Saturday of each month. I am one of the cooks. So if you go and enjoy the food, please don't put anything in the comments. But I'm actually one of the cooks. I started doing that a couple of years ago. I really enjoy it. So go to church. Meet new people. Don't be afraid to meet new people. Meet new people. It's good for you. We had a friend come over last night, a very, very nice friend. She's a senior lady, like, my wife's a senior lady. I'm a senior guy. We got all these seniors walking around. But she was telling us and inspired us to maybe start making some plans about her last cruise she did in Hawaii, and how much she enjoyed the beaches and the fresh pineapples. Matter of fact, time she got done, I could taste some pineapples. So here's a lady in her 70s that recently did a very nice cruise to Hawaii. Make some new friends. Now, this is not for everybody, but I personally enjoy meeting and talking to new people. That's one of the reasons I do things like sales and Uber. Nothing fascinates me more than to meet some new people. I recently picked up a couple when I was driving Uber, and I asked him, I said, oh, what do you do? They're on vacation. He says, I'm an optometrist. He began to tell me a little bit about his business. I recently picked up a gentleman who was a scientist, and he was telling me about how his son worked for Elon Musk. Meet new people. All right. Let's see. Let's see what else I want to do. Make out a list of things that you would like to do. Sit down and write it out. Make out a list of goals or things that you'd like to do. Would you like to travel? Would you like to have a sports car? Would you like to skydive? My son and myself have talked about that. Parasailing, we've already done that. Zip lining, we've already done it. I would do both of those again. Paint your own bathroom. I went in there one day and looked, and it needed to be painted. I got the materials and painted it myself. But there are things that seniors can do to stay healthy and active. This is John Hauser with free advice, saying, we still got lots of time left. Let's go out and do something. See you next time.